Good evening and welcome in to News Channel 10 Sports. Tomorrow, the Budweiser partnership at Ross Rogers tees off. It will be the 71st Budweiser partnership. Play will start tomorrow on Thursday and go until Sunday. A lot of Amarillo natives will be participating, including the Kettling brothers, Kyle and Derek, who have won 3 out of the last 4 tournaments. George Priolo joined us on Sports Drive today to highlight what makes this tournament so unique.
Very unique golf tournament because you won't find it anywhere around here for sure, and not many places in the country, if at all, because of the way it's a bracket match play partnership, and there's a low ball, low total component to it. So there's 2 points per hole. So it's something that players really never play in, and they only get that opportunity in Amarillo to do it once a year.
Here is that schedule for the next 4 days. Thursday is the qualifying round. There are 35 teams playing for 32 spots in the bracket. Friday is round 1, matches beginning right after noon. Saturday, there is the quarterfinal matches starting at 8:30 in the morning. The semifinal matches start after lunch at 1:30. Then on Sunday is the final match with the first round at 8:20 in the morning and second round beginning around 1:40 in the afternoon.